Alright, now welcome back to the channel. Now this video is something new, something fresh and new for the channel. I thought about doing something I've never tried before, and I have made five brand new cards that I would like to see implemented into Pocket. With some Pokemon that are already in Pocket and some Pokemon that have yet to be added. Yes, now keep in mind, I'm not showing off leaks or anything new. I'm not confirming any of this. These are fan-made, well, made by me. These are Poke Ranch-made cards, Some of the art is official, some of the art I just found, and the artists will be credited if you want to check them out. But these are cards that I have made. These are not real. But for the sake of discussion, and just to know what you guys think, let's just talk about it and let's get into it. Now, these are cards. Now, some of these cards, you may think they're a little bit broken, or you may think they're a little bit underwhelming. Let me know. Just let me know your favorite of the cards shown, and let me know which cards you think actually could get into the game. And without further ado, let's just jump right into it. I'm gonna start with Genesect. Yes, let's begin with a Genesect card that I did make. Genesect EX. He's not exactly busting out the card, but here it is. I used some official art of Genesect, and it looks pretty good. I can't lie, it's pretty good to me. 140 HP, which I did. Before I made all these cards, I compared to Pocket themselves to make sure my HP was in line, my damage was in line, so it's nothing too crazy. I'm not gonna make any cards with like 300 HP, don't worry. Anyways, let's get right into it. Now we have an ability. I don't know what happened to the text. It means fun Rampardos. Yes, use your brain, you know what it means. Anyways, as long as this Pokemon is on field, the active Pokemon takes minus 20 damage from fossil Pokemon. Now, clearly, I'm aiming to deal with a problem here, with this card that I made. You guys may be wondering, why is Genesect's ability about fossils? Blame my friend. I don't know. My friend was like, Genesect is like a evolved fossil, so he takes less damage from old fossils. I don't really know. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but yeah, basically, this Genesect card, whenever in play, even on the bench, it would, nerf fossil Pokemon such as Rampardos, such as, I'm not gonna lie, Rampardos. There are some other ones like Almost Star, but no one's using them. People just use Rampardos. Anyways, a little bit more interesting maybe is Technoblast. I thought it would be perfect to have Genesect whenever it gets in the game. It should use colorless energy, kind of akin to Silvally in a way, because they're not too different. They're modified Pokemon by man, and they kind of have that Arceus flair to them where, Genesect can implant certain discs and then have his attack do fire damage or ice damage, blah, blah, blah. Technoblast. Everyone knows how Technoblast works if you're, an actual Pokemon fan, right? Flip 2 coins. If you get 2 heads, opponent's active Pokemon is either frozen, burned, or paralyzed at random, right? I did this to kind of, have the canon Technoblast here in a way to how, fire, ice, electricity, blah, blah, blah. It all kind of works into Technoblast. I know flipping 2 coins and getting heads on both is a little bit hard, but 3 for 120 colorless, that's not bad at all, and his retreat cost is decent. Do I think this thing will be meta? Not necessarily, but I don't think it's bad at all, though. I think it can be used in a ton of different decks, and if you did get the frozen, burn, or paralyzed to work, he could really be kind of annoying for the opponent, right? I think it could be very annoying. Let me know what you think of Genesect. That's my first one, Genesect EX. Do you think you could actually see this in the game? And what do you think of his ability? Fun Rampardos. Remember, that means Fun Rampardos. I don't know why it's censored. Anyways, on to the next. Yup, Primarina. Now, I have a little bit to say about Primarina. Why did Primarina not get an EX when it's the only one missing out of Incineroar and Decidueye? There was a chance for her to get it in Extra Dimensional Crisis, and for some reason, they skimped out on it. So you know what? I thought I'm going to try it myself. Now, basically, my Primarina EX is an evolved version of the one that's already in the game, based around healing your Pokemon. But I buffed it to, somehow match the brand new, kind of broken, crazy level EXs we get nowadays. Now, let's start with the ability, Healing Aura. Once during your turn, you may heal 40 damage from all ally Pokemon. Now, you guys might be like, that might need to get nerfed, maybe, because, this is not just water Pokemon. I want it to work on all Pokemon, It's an EX and it's a stage 2. I want it to be that good. I also want Rare Candy Synergy. So Sparkling Aria, right? Actually its signature move that it for some reason does not have in Pocket. It only has Surf in Pocket for 3 energy. Sparkling Aria for 2 energy, it does 80. but it also does 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. That's because in canon, the actual Sparkling Aria does hit multiple Pokemon at once. It is not a single target move. It is a multi-target move. And yeah, I think you could compare this to maybe Articuno in a way. It's kind of similar to Articuno, but I think better. I think I kind of combined the Lapras EX card we have in the game already and the Articuno EX card to create a healing monster, you know. And I don't think this thing is that broken. Do you guys think it is that broken? You know, 180 HP. It's in line with the other Stage 2, you know, starter Pokemon. 180, 170 HP. They're always around that, you know, size. I think it's really good. A 2 retreat cost, this thing would be crazy. And I can see it getting a lot of play. 80 damage, you know, I don't even think 80 for 2 is that broken. In this economy, 80 for 2 is not that broken. Decidueye does 2 for 100 snipe. Like Garchomp does 50 for 1 energy. 2 for 80 is not that crazy. I think Healing Aura could be really amazing. Imagine 2 Primarina EX on the bench. It's kind of expensive to get like started, but you're healing 80 per turn. Maybe, what if you ran this with Venusaur EX for some reason? Like, could you ever kill him? Really? Anyways, yeah, what do you guys think of Primarina EX? Might be a little bit broken, but I think it's cool. I think it's honestly a really cool card. I wish it existed. You know, once again, this art is official art. Looks pretty nice. Anyways, on to the next. Haha. Yes, we have Jirachi EX. You know, something that I, for one, very, very much would love to see in the game. It's one of my favorite Generation 3 mons. I love it. One of my favorite mythicals. And this card is going to shake up the game. You know, I'm talking as if it's real. It's not real. But if it was real, bro, imagine this card. I have to get to the ability. I know you guys see it. But I like to say the art, you know, this is not official art. This was made by Saki Pokokaki. You know, that is the creator of this beautiful art in the middle. You know, check them out. Please check them out. No, I love this Jirachi art. And I thought it fit very nice on the card. Now, anyways, let's get to the card itself. Serene Grace. Now, as long as this Pokemon is on field, whenever a coin is flipped, the first coin is guaranteed to be heads. Yes, this works on everything. Misty's, Team Rocket's, Celebi's attack. Anything you can think of that involves flipping coins, right? Literally, it will work. No matter what, it will work. Now, I know some of you may be like, this will ruin the game. This is crazy. This is too broken. I don't care. You know, it's Jirachi. I love Jirachi, and I do not care. You know, Serene Grace, I think it would be a super fun ability. It shakes up the game, and you know what? It makes Celebi a really big threat. Not only that, but it has a retreat cost of 0. That might be a little bit too broken. I don't know. But I did make its retreat cost 0. So yeah, there you go. Anyways, I did also make Ironhead work with Serene Grace. Now, Ironhead, flip 2 coins. If you flip heads once, this does 20 more damage. So obviously with Jirachi, you're always going to get the 20 more damage. But if you get lucky, now this one does involve luck. If you flip 2 heads, it does 40 more damage. So, you know, you can either do 60 or you can do 80 if you get really lucky. But it'll always do 60. And I don't think 2 for 60 is that great. So I didn't want to make Jirachi itself super broken in terms of damage dealing. But the ability is the forefront of, you know, what I'd like to discuss with Jirachi. This ability would 100% shake up the game. Imagine what could work if you have Jirachi on, you know, bench. Anyways, let me know what you guys think of my Jirachi card. Is it broken? Is it like going to ruin the game? Is it not that crazy? You know, maybe some of you, maybe it won't be that big of a difference, but you know, it could really help some cards. But it's mostly just for fun, you know, it's all for fun anyways. Yeah, like I said, check out Saki Pokaki. They made the art, looks great. Anyways, on to the next. Haha, alright, now for this next card, you know, there is a slight mistake. This Marshadow is not EX. You know, I don't know why I put the EX symbol here. I think I was trying to make an EX, but I ended up liking it more as a basic. So, yeah, that's entirely my fault. But anyways, we do have Marshadow here, a brand new Psychic type Marshadow, you know, which is, you know, Ghost type in Pocket. I wanted to see if I could make a Spectral Thief Marshadow and somehow include, you know, its copying ability, right? Now, if the opposing Pokemon in the active slot has an ability, Marshadow copies it. Yes, very, you know, random. I'm not gonna lie. It's very random how useful this card would be. I just think it would be really fun. Because imagine if you could copy maybe Arceus' ability. Now he can't be slept. Or maybe if you could copy Ultra Thrusters and now you can retreat to one of your Ultra Beasts for something. Or maybe you could copy an ability like Space Below, right? If you're going up against a Giratina, you copy Space Below and you have Shadow Punch ready. And Shadow Punch, I want it to kind of make like Psychic is in Pocket. It gets stronger for each energy, but it gets a lot stronger. 40 more damage for each energy. Imagine going up into a Giratina, you Spectral Below, or you Space Below, right? So you get Shadow Punch on the next turn, and it's over. It's over, right? That Giratina is not winning that matchup. I don't know, I think it could be really interesting, but sometimes I think it could be really bad too. You know, that's why I think the ability, it's not a meta card or anything, but I think this special thief ability that I created here could make for some really funny matches, right? It would at least be a fun card. Don't worry, it's not an EX, by the way, this is just a basic. But regardless, I think it would be a fun, you know, different take on Marshadow. And this is official art from Game Freak as well. You know, I think it looks pretty nice. And, you know, I want to use it for the card. And yeah, so there we go. And I think there's one more card after this. So let's waste no time and get right into the big boy coming up. Haha, the mascot of Poke Ranch himself, Dragonite, with its own EX. This is something that I so dearly need. I dearly need an EX Dragonite. You know, I kind of miss Dragonite being all over the place, all over YouTube videos. No one's really using my boy like that anymore. You know, I might have to bring him back soon. But anyways, here is my take on Dragonite EX. No, this is not official art. This was made by Don Potty. This was made by the artist Don Potty. Make sure you check them out. This art is beautiful, and I think it looks great on an EX card. Anyways, let's get straight into Dragonite, because I have to explain some things that you guys may be confused about. Now, this one has an ability, unlike our Dragonite in-game. Multi-scale is finally in Pocket. Reduces damage taken by half when HP is full, you know? And not only that, we have the one and only Hyper Beam. Yes, Hyper Beam, 150 damage for 4 colorless energy, by the way. It's a dragon type with colorless energy. So you can power this Dragonite however you want to. I think that's completely fair and it's necessary, you know? Also toting no weakness as a dragon type should. During your next turn, this Pokemon can attack. Now, you guys might be like, oh, really? There are tons of ways to negate this, by the way. Keep in mind, retreating and coming back also negates this. I don't know if you're ever going to have enough energy to retreat. You know, maybe some card in the future will help Dragon types retreat or something like that. But retreating and coming back into active, for some reason, gets rid of the can't attack status. I don't know if that's an oversight or what. But yes, it comes with a huge 150 Bingus attack. Now, you may be wondering, but what if I can't retreat? Here's my vision with Dragonite, right? So Dragonite's full HP, you get it from the bench in active, you go for the Hyper Beam, 150, boom, you take out him on. Now you might be wondering, aren't they just gonna knock me out next turn? Yes, even though you can't attack, so you're gonna go a turn of not attacking, you're gonna get attacked a lot. Multi-scale hopefully will help Dragonite live long enough to just Hyper Beam again. And most times you're gonna win the game. If you can Hyper Beam an EX and take them out, and then just Hyper Beam some random other basic mon, you're probably just gonna win the game with Dragonite EX. I think this would be a super duper fun way to play an EX version of Dragonite. I think it's a nice way to incorporate multi-scale into Pocket, and a colorless attack on a dragon is something I need. You know, it would just be super fun. You could power this guy with Dialga, you could power this guy with Manaphy, you could even power this guy with Delcatty if you want. Like, you could power this guy with a bunch of random stuff that, you know, powers in this game by that point. And yeah, I think it would be super fun. Now, anyways, these are my 5 cards that I would add to Pocket if I was given the chance. So what do you guys think? You know, do you like it? Do you think they're like too random? Do you think some of them are broken? Do you think some of them need to be nerfed? And you know, what's your favorite? You know, also comment down below what cards that you need in Pocket that aren't already in the game. So thank you guys for hearing me out. You know, appreciate all the love, like and sub. You know, we're making it. We're trying to make it to that 1K. You know, thank you to all my ranchers. You know, I guess I'll call you guys, you know, ranchers. Thank you to all my ranchers. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video, because I'm out of here.